We're in the village of Santo Domingo now. Here's our group. We are about to hike up to Pico Turquino. We have a lot of gear for 6 days. Now we're at the community of La Platica, and our team is here. Here's our guide, Ever, Carmen, our jefa, our leader, Lady, Amauris, Alan, and Jose Ramon. We have 8 kilometers to go to Aguada de Joaquin, where we're going to stay for the next 6 nights. We're in the Bosque Nublado now, just below Pico Joaquin. It's about 10:45 a.m. We've been out since before 6:30. We began our point counts. It's windy, it's cloudy. We had a lot of rain yesterday afternoon. It's wet. Quite amazing to hike in the dark through this cloud forest. It's 6:15 a.m. We're at 1,686 meters elevation. We've got to get our first point count in at 6:30. It's almost time for Bicknells to start vocalizing. It's 9:30. We're just below the final ascent up to Pico Turquino. The clouds have begun to descend. We may have had 1 Bicknells. We only heard it 3 or 4 times. It didn't respond after the count to the playback, so we're going to go back now and see if we can relocate it. So each of our counts are 10-minute counts separated into 4 2.5-minute periods. And in between, we play 1 minute of Bicknell's thrush calls between the 2nd and the 4th individual periods. And here's our data sheet. These are the circles, 10 meters, 25 meters, 50, and the codes for the different species. We've had mostly Cuban solitaires, Cuban trogons, red-legged thrushes, Cuban emeralds, 1 Cuban toady. We've had 2 different Cuban pygmy owls calling during the counts. On the ridge leading from Pico Turquino, we found 3 Bicknells this morning, and we managed to capture 1 in this net right here. It's probably a male. It's got a long wing, 92.5 millimeters. We banded it with a Cuban band. It's the first Bicknell's thrush, as far as we know, to ever receive a Cuban band. It came into the net with playback. We fooled it into thinking there was a territorial intruder. These birds do hold territories in the winter, we know that. And it's pretty amazing. This is a heck of a way to start your day. It's 4:20 a.m., January 30th, 2018. I'm hiking in the cloud forest, Pico Turquino. This is our epic day. We're going to get all the way up to Pico Turquino and even beyond to Pico Cuba, where we're going to finish our surveys, our point counts for Bicknell's thrush. The woods are quiet, just the frogs. 6 a.m. exactly. We're on Pico Turquino. Very first light showing in the east. We are without a doubt the highest people on the island of Cuba at this moment. About 1975 meters. This is a spectacular vista here. We're looking down at the ocean. These clouds will move up slope and probably bring some rain this afternoon. We're still in the cloud forest, but it's a little bit drier where we are here. And this is the habitat where we've had some birds this morning. We did have 3 Bicknells at a previous point, all calling simultaneously. So we have now our second Bicknell thrush we've captured in a net. The second Cuban bird so far. It's getting a Cuban band. You can see it. TA0243. This bird was one that we heard on a point count this morning. And we came back, did a playback. The bird responded. We put up a net, and bingo. Took about 10 seconds. The bird was in the net. This is an adult, and after second year, a bird that was hatched in 2016 or earlier. You can tell that by the rounded or truncate shape of the tail feathers. And we know from the Dominican Republic, the work that we've done over many years, that males tend to occupy the best territories, the optimal habitat, which we believe are these high elevation, undisturbed, pristine cloud forests. Females are getting the squeeze. Males, being a bit bigger, are, we think, able to outcompete females for these territories up here. The habitat's limited. There isn't enough to go around. And that, we think, is producing this skewed sex ratio that we have on the breeding grounds of more than 2 males for every female. So winter habitat limitation is a big concern for this bird. Everybody's exhausted. Our team walked about, we figure, 15 kilometers, which included a lot of elevation change up and down this morning. I'd be lying if I said my knees didn't feel like hamburger right now. Tomorrow, I'm gonna go up one more time to the ridge line and just try to find as many Bicknells as I can. No point counts, we've done those. The goal now will be simply to document the number of Bicknells that we believe are along that ridge line using playback. Clouds are sweeping across the ridgeline here and the peaks. Actually, these are perfect conditions for looking and hoping to find Bicknell's thrush. It's a bird that's very active at low light levels, mainly at dawn and dusk. They do spontaneously vocalize here, but the window is so short, just after dawn and just before dusk, that using playback is really the only reliable way to find them. We've now walked more than 3 kilometers since we began our playbacks at about 6:40 a.m. We found 3 birds so far. The same 3 that we had already detected over the last 3 days. Finding those 3 is affirming, in one sense, that these birds are on territories. They're not moving around. It's disappointing not to have found more. It's a little perplexing because there's a lot of really prime habitat here, at least prime from a human's point of view about what we know of the Bicknell's thrush. But the birds just don't seem to be here. I don't think we're missing them. So the 15 plus that our colleagues from the Canadian Wildlife Service found 15 years ago, Evo Bree and others, I'm not sure why we're not finding that level, that density. It's really a mystery. It's our final afternoon here in Parque Nacional Pico Turquino. And like every other afternoon, it's been raining and raining and raining. So I'm sitting here on the porch, scribbling a few notes, trying to make sense of what we've learned over the last 4+ days. We found 7 Bicknell thrushes total over about 7 kilometers of surveys. 1 bird per kilometer of habitat. One has to believe that the species is not at all common here. Our goal of assessing the distribution, the habitat use, the relative abundance of Bicknell thrush on the island of Cuba is far from complete, but it does appear in this part of the Sierra Maestra, the bird is not anywhere near as common as we find it in the mountains of Hispaniola.